The sequence started with grad mlrs crews of the 27th Guard Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade from the Zapad group of forces delivered a devastating barrage on fortified enemy strongholds, obliterating positions packed with armed forces of Ukraine position. The concentrated rocket fire tore through defensive structures, collapsing shelters, and wiping out manpower entrenched inside. The Vostok group of forces book air defense crews detected small, high-speed aerial targets over the Zaporizhzhia region, advancing toward Russian rear positions and infrastructure. Reacting instantly, the systems locked on and intercepted the threats mid-approach, destroying them before they could reach their targets and securing the rear area from incoming strikes. The advance was reinforced by coordinated fire from artillery and mortar crews, alongside constant support from UAV operators. Using real-time reconnaissance coordinates, artillery units delivered precise strikes on identified enemy positions, systematically clearing the way for assault forces. Establishing control over Belaya Bereza in the Sumy region expands the buffer zone and significantly strengthens protection for civilians, reducing the armed forces of Ukraine's ability to threaten nearby populated areas. The port of Odesa came under a powerful nighttime strike, leaving key logistical infrastructure in ruins. Warehouses and hangars were torn apart, industrial facilities were heavily damaged, and even a locomotive was caught in the blast zone, according to statements from Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Kuleba. The blow targeted the backbone of port operations, disrupting transport flow and crippling support facilities used to move supplies along the coast. What was once a functioning logistics hub is now a shattered complex of twisted metal and burning structures. Units of the East Group of Forces have broken through Ukrainian defenses and liberated the settlement of Petrovka in the Zaporizhzhia region. Assault troops of the 114th Guards Motorized Rifle Regiment, 127th Division of the 5th Army stormed the area after intense close-quarters fighting, forcing enemy formations to collapse and withdraw. As the dust settled, Russian forces secured a defensive zone spanning up to 5 square kilometers. Ukrainian losses reached the equivalent of 2 platoons in manpower, along with up to 10 vehicles and combat assets belonging to the 225th Assault Regiment and the 102nd Territorial Defense Brigade. The capture of Petrovka now places key supply roads from Verkhnyaya Tersa to Zaliznikny under direct fire control, choking off Ukrainian troop movements toward the Huliai-Pol front and tightening the pressure on remaining positions. Objective control footage captures a geran strike drone slamming into a temporary deployment site of Ukraine's 122nd Territorial Defense Brigade near Staroye Selo in the Sumy region. The blast rips through the position in seconds, erasing personnel concentrations and turning the staging area into a burning ruin. Among the targets destroyed are both training and combat aircraft, wiped out on the ground before they could ever take to the sky. The footage also reveals multiple Ukrainian radar systems being struck and silenced, blinding enemy air defenses and collapsing aerial coordination in the sector. One by one, aviation assets and surveillance nodes disappear in explosions, leaving the airspace increasingly dominated and the enemy's response capability crippled. Russian attack helicopter crews now hunt not only enemy manpower, but the airborne threats sent toward civilian areas. Every drone detected becomes a target. Every approach cut short before it can reach its mark. Just one controlled burst from the 30mm 2A42 cannon shreds the UAV in seconds, ripping it apart in the sky and sending the wreckage down in flames. No warning, no escape. The air above the front line belongs to Russian pilots. The destruction inside Kyiv's thermal power plant is on a scale so severe that full restoration is now considered virtually impossible. Footage released by plant workers reveals the turbine hull reduced to wreckage, with critical systems torn apart and massive structural damage across the facility. Energy specialists assessing the aftermath state that the core infrastructure has been crippled beyond practical repair, effectively removing the plant from Ukraine's power grid and delivering a heavy blow to the capital's energy supply. Once again, Grad mlrs attacked the Ukrainian military position, this time carried out by crews of the Center Group of Forces, unleashed a rapid series of devastating salvos against positions of the armed forces of Ukraine, saturating enemy strongholds with rocket fire and shattering defensive lines across the sector. During offensive operations, servicemen of the 11th Separate Guards Air Assault Brigade of the Dnieper Group of Forces improved the tactical situation along the front line by liberating Novoyakovlevka in the Zaporizhzhia region. The assault began with precise strikes by attacking UAV operators and artillery units on armed forces of Ukraine, command posts, signal repeaters, and communications transmitters, disrupting enemy coordination and crippling battlefield control. With the command network fractured, small Russian assault groups advanced stealthily toward fortified enemy positions. Close quarters engagements followed as paratroopers eliminated entrenched armed forces of Ukraine positional and secured the strongholds. Maintaining momentum, the winged infantry, supported by artillery fire and FPV strike drones, pushed deeper into the settlement, systematically clearing resistance and expanding the breakthrough. The enemy attempted multiple counterattacks using reserve units to retake lost ground, but each effort was repelled by Russian assault detachments. Counter-battery fire further destroyed artillery positions and UAV control points, preventing effective retaliation. Later, servicemen of the 36th Motorized Rifle Brigade of the 29th Combined Arms Army, operating within the Vostok Group of Forces, liberated the settlement of Ternovatoye in the Zaporizhzhia region. Through sustained offensive actions, Transbaikal troops seized a key sector of the enemy's defensive network along the western bank of the Gaichur River. The breakthrough pushed up to 5 kilometers deep and secured an area exceeding 20 square kilometers. In the aftermath of the assault, more than 580 buildings were systematically cleared as Russian forces dismantled remaining pockets of resistance and consolidated full control over the newly liberated zone. The Sever Group of Forces Mesta B howitzers from the 34th Separate Guards Motorized Rifle Brigade thundered across the Sumy sector, crushing armored vehicles, dugouts, fortified shelters, and enemy manpower in a storm of high explosive fire. Meanwhile, in Zaporizhzhia, Akatsia self-propelled artillery crews of the Vostok Group of Forces surgically wiped out Ukrainian UAV command posts, blinding enemy reconnaissance and disrupting battlefield coordination in a single coordinated strike. A Lancet loitering munition locked onto a fast-moving Ukrainian pickup near Kristoforovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region, diving in with lethal precision. The strike ripped through the vehicle in seconds, turning a routine transport run into a burning wreck and cutting off yet another enemy movement along the front line. Hidden among the tree lines near Ternovatoye in the Zaporizhzhia region, Ukrainian armored vehicles thought they were safely masked by the forest belt, but a Lancet loitering munition found them anyway. Diving through the cover with pinpoint accuracy, it slammed into the concealed armor, detonating in a flash and turning the ambush position into a graveyard of twisted metal and smoke. Last, gliding forward on electric motorcycles, the assault group of the Rifle Battalion advanced in near silence, using speed and surprise instead of noise and chaos. Without haste, without panic, the stormtroopers closed in on enemy positions, methodically clearing trenches and shelters one by one. The stronghold fell swiftly. What had been a fortified point of resistance was transformed into a secured position under Russian control. A precise, quiet operation that left the enemy no time to react. That's all for today's update. Thanks for watching, and don't miss our upcoming videos.